what I've learned is go ask people. Find out what their real pain points are. Your pain point may not be the pain point that you think it is. And that will help you hone in on what is the thing that's going to make you money in the future.
This is Journey to Point V, where you can find success stories of people who have achieved the same goals you're striving for. I'm your host, Lucia, Csoma, and it's my hope that these stories will provide motivation for your own journey to Point V. Casie, welcome to my show. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for asking me, Lucia. Really appreciate it.
Casie, tell us 3 things about you that would help us know who Casie is.
Oh, okay. So, first off, you might find this interesting that I was a flight attendant first. I was a flight attendant for 26 years at United. And I was also a mom who had 3 kids who had significant struggles in their teen years, kind of their whole lives, but they really kind of hit ahead in their teen years, including that my middle child struggled with substances. So we had a lot of chaos in the house. And then I have my oldest struggles with anxiety and my youngest social anxiety. And so that's kind of my second part, and navigating flying and doing all that at the same time was difficult. So the second part is that I have become a peer recovery specialist and a parent and a peer facilitator for the Partnership to End Addiction. And when I started doing that back in 2020 and having my kids struggle, I knew that I wanted something that all parents could find. So I created Other Parents Like Me with my partner, Liz.
Wonderful. So you mentioned a little bit the motivation to start Parents Like Me. Tell us, what is Parents Like Me? What is the support that you're giving?
Yeah, so sometimes people call it OPLM, but it's Other Parents Like Me, and we offer 17 peer-led support groups. So it's led by 2 peer parents, so they're facilitators who have been in this. They also have kids who have struggled, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just because we say things are doing well now doesn't mean there won't be other things in the future. And we offer all different kinds: men's, women's, solo moms, kids in program, kids not in program, treatment. I'm sorry, always call it program, and a book club and trauma-informed yoga and meditation and all sorts of things that kind of gives parents a space to settle in for an hour with a meditation and a topic that is led by those 2 facilitators. And then they get to just kind of talk about how it relates to them, how it connects to them. And they start to learn, boundaries, communication, self-care, and self-regulation that they've struggled with when you have kids who you're worried about and you're fearful about. It's hard to know that you have those rights for those 4 things, and self-regulation kind of really starts to go out the window. And then we do speaker talks where people get to come and listen to an expert about all sorts of topics, and then actually ask questions, which when things were really hard, I felt like anybody I was asking questions to, I had to pay them. So, this is that's a part of our free part of our service anyone can come do. And then you can go watch the recordings later. There's tons of resources to go and search and find a book or a podcast or something else to listen to, and just kind of find a space that's for you. And that's what Other Parents Like Me is. It's a peer support place for you with other parents who get it.
Yeah, and it's so hard to find that support. It's wonderful that you are offering a variety of support groups on different topics, because it's hard to find that support really fast when you need it. And by the time you find a therapist, by the time you get into some sort of a support, it's a little bit late, or at least super scary on that journey.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. Yeah. And you feel so alone behind your 4 walls. And I didn't have peer support. I went to Al-Anon back then, but I have way more than just substance use. And
Mhm.
I wanted a place where I could talk about anything and people would get it,
Mhm.
any issue, even a learning difference, even, so we had ADHD. I mean, even just kind of a space that I could talk about where there was moments of crisis or there was moments of, oh, this was difficult, or oh, I'm supposed to be talking. I want to talk to my kids differently, and you get to come talk to someone and say, "Hey, yeah, this isn't perfect. We make mistakes, and
Yes.
we're there too." Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it from here and
Hmm.
make it better. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Casey, what was the beginning of the journey? So you had the motivation, you knew what support is needed, but where did you start?
I started with two other people first. I had two other founders, and my one co founder, Liz Reitman, owns Right Design, which is a marketing and branding company in New York City. And her son has had struggles too. And we had a third partner, but it was in the beginning back in 2020 when we kind of had the little root of the idea. It got a little more than she had anticipated. And life happens and we were okay to part ways, and she's navigating her on her own and still a part of us.
Mhm.
So I started with trying it out at my son's program. Let's see what this does if I try this out. So I started a pilot, a beta program back in 2020, and I didn't know how successful it would be, and it was super successful. We had one support group within 2 months grew to 8 support groups, and we had 14 families and
Wow.
grew to 350. So I knew this was something that I really wanted to bring out there. So by November of that year, we started working on it. Like, okay, what is this going to look like? How do you navigate all of the legal, all of the financial? How do you figure out how to raise money? How do you figure out how to create a website? Luckily we had Liz,
Mhm.
so she had some of that already down. And how do you start to hire people and, create something that's going to feel safe and a good support for families? Like, we had our idea, and so, but then there's all this extra work that goes into when you try
Mhm.
to create a business. And we've had some not so great. Everybody has ideas, everybody has thoughts, everybody has suggestions of how you should do it. And we've had, some great mentors, some others who were costly for us in the end. And we
Mhm.
just were like, picked up again and said, okay, we're continuing to do this. And how can we get more money to kind of make that up and continue to learn? And I didn't know I would love it as much as I do having a startup. I love it.
So it seems like you started with a pilot and then there was this overwhelming response that kind of forced you to uh, do more, do faster,
Mm-hmm.
get there. Yes. What were some of the significant stepping stones in the journey until you felt like, okay, this is really happening?
Um, Starting to figure out how to break through the noise and listen to advisors and people who you start to understand, like, okay, that part I can take, that part no, like what fits for you and your team. So that was a big part. Another part is accepting that yes, we make mistakes, and to move past it and to say, all right, now what do we do from here? And that's a hard one because I don't know if you've experienced this with starting your own company, but there's days where I'm like lying on the floor, like, I don't know if I could do this. This is so much, and you feel so scared. Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing the right things? Am I bringing the right people in? And that's another part is, okay, this is what we had intended. This is where we started. However, that's not bringing in the people, the money that wasn't bringing in the right way. So, okay, how do we change? How do we navigate? And that's the biggest part, I think, is just being willing to pick back up. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. And then when it came time for us to begin to raise funds beyond our family and friends, to investors, that was like a whole other scary thing to add into the mix. And it's a journey that's not for the faint-hearted. I don't think at all, and because you get a lot of rejection, and however, you really find such amazing people on this path. Other founders who are so willing to give you their time and their expertise and their experience, and investors too. It's just like, hey, let's talk this through. And I just think that's pretty amazing, of how when people hear what you're doing, and that's what happened. They're like, I love what you're doing. How can I help? And so giving of their time, and it's humbling. It's humbling. And that's kind of what we're doing for parents, right? We're giving our time for them, and founders and investors do the same thing for you. They're like, yeah, we know this is hard. Let's talk. I'm happy to be a sounding board. And, and that doesn't mean you're going to get money from them, but it does help you, move on. And yeah, I feel we're in an amazing path where we are. And it's taken us, when we launched last year, we found the right place to go to learn things from. And we found through our marketing, we have a hospital that reached out to us to give to their parents. And so I know we're doing the right things. And that's really powerful as you get kind of that validation.
Casie, what kept you going in those days where you were asking yourself, like, I don't know if I can do this, and you were encountering all these challenges? Like, what kept you going?
That's when you need a powerful co-founder. I've heard it a bunch of times saying that a co-founder is like a marriage, and I think it's actually more than a marriage. You really have to work through the warts and all. And my co-founder and I really have such an amazing rhythm and relationship, and able to say, this is my wheelhouse or this is your wheelhouse, and we really are able to stay in our lanes. And the other part is, so far, we're not down at the same time. So having two people is good, because the other person can pull you back up, and then the other person will, when you're down, the other person pulls you back up. And having that type of relationship with your co-founder. And we are a very, very small team. We have 2 team members, and then I have 30 peer parents who run the meetings, and they are supportive, warts and all the things that we're like, okay, we're trying this now. And they just are, I think it's just, that's another part, is having the people that you've surrounded yourself with, who are working for you, with you, really with you. I mean, I know they're for you, they're working for you, but really it's been with us, makes all the difference in the world, to feel when you're having a bad day, they'll go, oh, you're doing so great. It's nice to have a little cheerleading squad.
Yeah. Always helps. What is the vision, the big vision? So if you're thinking about, I know it's a cliche to ask 5 to 10 years, but when you started on this journey, what was the vision that you had in mind with other parents like me?
My vision, and I know you and I talked about this before, is we are going to be 24/7, and we're going to be global. And every single hour, there's going to be a spot that parents will, if they're having a struggle, no matter where they are in the world, they'll be able to jump in and just be with other parents and make the world and the struggles that is happening and just getting bigger since, COVID and stuff, feel smaller. And that's my vision. And my vision in the future is that we will walk and merge with a company who is focused on the kids, so that it's really such a well-rounded space for families, where the kids are getting help, the parents are getting help, and they're all doing it together. And We just have a much stronger families and parents and kids in their four walls.
I think that's such a wonderful vision. And I can imagine like getting hit with something terrible as a parent and being able that in a few minutes to jump and find a support group that is meeting at that time, that can support you or listen to you, or at least for you to feel that you are in a safe environment. I can see the impact of that. And I love what you said about the partnership. I think that would be like the perfect combo. I love that vision.
Thank you.
Casie, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
The biggest challenge, I've mentioned that there's been mistakes that we've made, right? Well, some of those mistakes have cost money and not small dollar signs. And that can really kind of be like, oh, we could be so much further if we hadn't made that mistake. And that is a challenge. That's a challenge sometimes. Like we could, have a longer runway if we hadn't. But on top of that, I also feel, even though those were our challenge, it's a mistake that I think anybody can make, and you pick yourself back up, the classic line, right? By your bootstraps, and you go, okay, I've learned, I've grown, and I can move forward. And every time you learn, you grow and you move forward. I feel stronger as a founder. I feel stronger as a person. And that's what I didn't know, is how much it would also, those challenges, boost myself as a person, that, okay, you know what? Mistakes are okay and we can grow from them, and they're just going to happen, and you're going to then have other things that work amazing. And it's a challenge, but it's not. In the past, I probably would have said it's a challenge that I didn't think would have benefits to it. However, I shouldn't say that, because my kids had a lot of challenges. I had a lot of challenges with my kids, and look where I am now. So I guess it's kind of the same sort of theme.
Yeah. And sometimes the most expensive lessons are the ones that we remember the most, and we tend not to repeat them. So
Exactly. For sure.
That's what I
Yes, you get a little more cautious in the next one.
exactly. It's like,
yes,
okay, I know I'm not going to do that again.
yes, yes.
But
When you
versus
also are
like,
hesitant, you ask more questions
yeah.
before you say yes. Yeah.
If someone that is listening to this podcast in this moment is considering starting their own venture, but they are hesitant and they would ask you for mentorship, what would be some of the things that you would tell them?
I would say, one, do your research. For sure, make sure that you research that this idea is not already out there. We did that a lot, and we're the only ones out there. So we do your research. And if there are people out there like you, some may have failed, some may be doing okay, some may be doing well. So if they failed, take that time to research why they failed. And then what I've learned is go ask people. Find out what their real pain points are. What your pain point may not be the pain point that you think it is. And that will help you hone in on what is the thing that's going to make you money in the future. And then I also say, don't take too long to do that. It's okay to just jump in and be like us, where we started and we're still in I would say, pre-launch phase, because we're constantly willing to learn. And I think that's a big takeaway. Be willing and open to learn, and be willing and open as you gain customers, as you gain people, to go, I might need to change that. And know that you're not the only person out there in this world who started a business, and what you started with is not what you've ended up with. And then that's okay.
It's always better to go out there as soon as you can, as soon as you have
Yes.
something ready. I have a background in product management, and I know that if we waited too long for an idea, to launch an idea, it was often too late. Even if it was already, like if we waited to be as perfect as we could, it was too late because we lost a lot of feedback that would have
Yeah,
jumpstart our growth. So I think
exactly.
that's very, very wise. And I assume there was a lesson that you learned there.
Yes. Definitely. And I do think that you can get caught up into that everything has to be perfect. And we
Hmm.
have not nothing has been perfect since we started, and we have people who very much love what we're doing. And they're along for the ride, and they've been doing it. We've had some people who've been with us for a couple of years now, and we've had people who are still with me from the pilot. So we're on 4 years
Hmm.
with them. So if I had waited, we may still be in, thinking phase. Um, and that's why I said, do the research, but don't waste time. If you're like, okay, this looks like this is not really something out there, go for it.
What is a goal that you're currently working towards? Like the nearest goal?
The nearest goal is that we are going to next week present in front of several hundred investors with a brand new pitch deck that we've created, um, and is to bring in the large money that we have hoped, that will give us some runway. And that is so that we can continue to build a company that's evidence-based, because that's important to us, with our bringing on research people and bringing on salespeople. And um, just know that when we get there, we're going to grow. And having the funds instead of just from friends and family, will be huge. So
Hmm.
that's our big goal right now, is next week. And then again, we have another one in January. But and I just feel, I don't know. I feel we're going to do it because I know that one day we're going to be successful, and we're successful now. That's why I know we're going to be huge as we get more
Hmm.
known by people around the world.
Wonderful. I wish you all the best
Thank you.
with that. If anyone from the audience would love to learn more about what you're doing or getting in contact with you, maybe an investor, what would be the
Yes.
best way? That would be the best scenario. No? What would be the best way for them to get in contact with you or learn more about you?
So it's super easy. It's my first name, Casie, Casie, at OPLM.com. So other parents like me, yes,
Hmm.
we actually got a URL that's 4 letters, which people were very surprised, but our website is literally OPLM.com. So you can check it out
Wonderful.
there. And then, yeah, you just use my name and in front of that and at the at symbol, and love to talk to anybody, and always are looking for people who want to join us on this path.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your story today. Thank you for being vulnerable, open to share, and hope that other people would learn from your experience to not give up, to go and chase their dreams, because it is possible if you put in the work, if you do not give up, if you have the co-founder that picks you up, and if you're there and test it and put it out in the world and see what happens. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Casie.
Thank you, Lucia. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to talk about the journey of being a founder. I appreciate it.
A wonderful journey. Thank you. I hope this episode gave you some inspiration for reaching your goals. If you found it useful, please hit the subscribe button. This will help me bring you more inspirational stories to support your own journey to point B. Thank you.